And we're sending a very clear message today. The message is that we are opposed to this so-called super Jewish district. This district may be super for other people, but it's not super for the Jews. And quite frankly, what this district really is, and in fact, you can go back hundreds of years ago. I was just reading the other day that some 500 years ago, in the great Republic of Venice, they created a specific neighborhood for Jews to live in. They told the Jews, it'll be good for you. Why do you want to live with everybody? We're going to separate you. We're going to put you in a neighborhood. And they came up with a brand new name for this neighborhood. They called it a ghetto. And they convinced the Jews. They said, no, you'll be safe there. You'll be happy there. You'll like it there. So much so that the Jews at the time, 500 years ago, they actually paid for non-Jews security guards to protect them in this ghetto. This, folks, is nothing more and nothing less than a ghetto district. When you take all the Jews and you put them into one neighborhood and you dilute the power of that community, this is ghetto politics at its very worst. It's offensive to the Jewish community. And if anyone had any question, if there was any support for this in the community, the answer is there is none. There is no support for this supposed super Jewish district. When you talk about raw politics, nobody would benefit from this district more than me. Some people could call this Super Greenfield district. I could easily run in this district and I could win. And it would be great for my political career, going from the city council to becoming a state senator. But when I ran for this office, I did not run for my own self-interest. I didn't run to do what was best for David Greenfield. I promised to stand up for what's right and to speak out when things are wrong in the community. The right thing for this community is to have at least 2, if not 3 senators, but not to dilute the voice of the community for one senator through some sort of backroom.
People might, listening to the news conference might say, well, you're part of a super district also. You're a councilman of a majority of Borough Park, which represents a majority of Jewish people living in Borough Park. So what difference would it be if whether it's your district or a state?
Yeah, so let me give you an example. So this is actually a good example. It would be the equivalent of me, right now, I actually have a district that represents Bensonhurst and Kensington and Midwood. And I'm very proud that I represent Orthodox Jews and secular Jews and Russian Jews and Catholics and Asian Americans and Italians and Irish and Pakistanis. And I have a district that actually really encourages me to work with different people. So it would be the equivalent of me coming back during the council redistricting and saying, oh, I should only represent Jews because I don't want to represent any non-Jews. That's absurd. It doesn't make any sense, right? The reality is that the Jewish community will always have significant influence because we have large numbers. If anything, what we're doing is we're diluting the influence, right? When you have an influence on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members, I work very closely with Brad Lander and with Mike Nelson and with Dominic Recchia and with Jumani Williams and with Lou Fiddler, all of whom represent different parts of the Orthodox community, and they know those communities are important because those communities come out and vote and are very active in electoral politics. And so the message that we're sending over here is that our strength is the fact that we have many different elected officials. If you have only one, and your point is exactly right, imagine I would go to my 4 colleagues and say, hey, you know what, guess what? Don't represent the Jews anymore. I should be the only one. We already have a David Greenfield. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why should I push out all the other folks? We already have people who are fighting for the community. It doesn't make sense that I would push everybody else out, and that's why I feel so strongly about this.